So you want to hit six figures in your bridal business, but you might be so unaware that these sneaky things are actually holding you back from reaching your six-figure self. Hey, I'm Marissa Grace. I gross over $500,000 in my bridal hair business, and I want to help you get rid of your five-figure self so you can meet your six-figure self. I used to have the mindset of I don't have money for that. Everything needs to be free, that I'm investing into my business. So for example, when I started realizing early on in my bridal business that, okay, I need to actually take Instagram seriously, but in order to do that, I need to get better content. And I saw other people having models at their house, doing shoots, doing styled stuff, doing stuff with photographers and models, and AKA having content days. And I was like, okay, I'm in. How do I do this? However, when I very first started, I had that five-figure mindset of everything needs to be free. So when I started out doing styled shoots, when I started out doing content days for my Instagram content, what ended up happening was I went with the people who were free because I didn't see it as an investment in my business. And I was so stingy with the money that I did have because, well, I had none at the time. I was just starting out my bridal business and I thought I need to do everything for free. What ended up happening was I would get so frustrated that the models would cancel on me, or that the photographers that I would reach out to who were maybe a little bit above the pay grade of free or doing stuff for collaboration or trade for print is what we used to call it. That was totally above them. And when I would reach out, they would just totally ghost me and I would get seriously offended. I'm like, oh my God, nobody's responding to me. These models are canceling on me. And my styled shoots and content days, they reflected that of a free content day versus when I started doing paid content days where I paid models, paid photographers. Or I would get so frustrated that I would have to pay for a studio to rent for the day. So I would do anything that I could to get it for free. And what ended up happening again was it showed that it was a freestyle shoot versus when I started investing in it. Because it took me a while to understand the ROI that you have in a content day of what you're putting out for your services versus just trying to get everything for free. Can you get it for free and can it work out? Sure, it can. But if you're paying for it, it's gonna show in the end result and a lot less frustration along the way. Another example is when I very first started out, I was so stingy and so hesitant to invest in online courses because I was like, I can do it myself. I can get it on YouTube. I can DIY it. I don't need to pay for an online course that might not even work for me. I was so hesitant to do that. And what I realized was when I actually very first started investing in courses, I invested in a marketing course. And once I invested in that, it was about $1,000. But that $1,000 turned my bridal business into a six-figure career just from what I learned off of a $1,000 course. Because here's the thing, can you get it on YouTube for free? Can you get it on ChatGPT? Can you get it from Instagram content? Sure. But when you're paying for something and you're actually exchanging money, what you're actually getting, faster way to get you a result. It's gonna take you a lot longer to piecemeal everything together from a YouTube video or from free content. And you can also learn the lessons, learn the mistakes that somebody else had to go through in order to hit that specific goal that you want. So for me, it was hitting six figures in my bridal business. So I bought somebody else's lessons, mistakes, roadmap, the exact step by step of what to do to hit that six figures. So that way I could hit it faster. Would I have gotten six figures in my bridal business? Probably, but it would have taken me years instead of just 12 months. So what I learned from switching my mindset from the five-figure mindset of I don't have enough money, everything needs to be free, I don't want to invest into my business, I can do it for free and DIY it myself, versus the six-figure mindset is you have to spend money to make money. And a six-figure person sees the return on investment when you're spending your dollars to invest back into your business. Now, when I said I don't want you to look at things like, oh, I don't have enough money, I'm not going to get a return on my investment. But what I don't want you to do is go out and spend your money on everything and then put yourself in debt. Because believe me, in the beginning, I spent so much money on products that I didn't need or little things that I don't actually need. Six-figure mindset is you see the return on the investment of if I spend $1,000 on this marketing course and I'm able to hit six figures figures in my business, which is 19xing. Is it 19x? I don't know. I can't really do the math. But if you spend $1,000 on a course and then you wind up earning $100,000, I think it was worth the investment. Or if you spend $1,000 on renting a studio, getting a model, getting accessories, and putting a content day together, and then you wind up booking $20,000 in bridal bookings, was that content day worth it? Was that $1,000 investment worth it? I would say yes. And your six-figure self says yes too. A five-figure mindset is you are slow to take action and you want everything to be perfect on the very first try. And what this is called is analysis paralysis. If you are somebody who is not showing up consistently on Instagram, if you are not showing up in your bridal business, making decisions because you want it to be perfect on your very first try, you are holding yourself back in that five-figure mindset from getting to that six-figure mindset. Think about your favorite YouTuber. Think about your favorite influencer on Instagram or TikTok. I want you to scroll back to the bottom of their feed, literally go into the depths of their feed, and I want you to look at their very first content pieces. Were they all knock it out of the park like home runs? No. We have this misconception that everything needs to be perfect on the first try. And I'll never forget when I very first started posting different content that wasn't just like a hair photo, that was videos, that was showing my personality, that was doing the trending audios of entertaining content. I was so scared of showing up because I didn't know how it would be perceived. I didn't know how I would be perceived. I was afraid of being seen and showing up authentically on social media. It is not easy to show up authentically on social media. So to protect ourselves, what I wound up doing is sitting in analysis paralysis and just sitting on that content versus posting it out because I was so afraid to fail. I was so afraid to flop. And what I learned is I'm comparing myself to someone who has done this 20 plus times, and this is my first try. They're on level 100 and I'm on level 1. We try to escape being a beginner. We try to escape failing. We try to fast track our success, but the inevitable piece of it is, and the reality is, you can't escape being a beginner. You just have to try. Messy action is better than no action. And the six-figure mindset is they are fast to fail so that they can get it right. A six-figure mindset versus a five-figure mindset is the six-figure person is more likely to put something out there and fail fast because they see it as an experiment versus the five-figure mindset isn't going to put out anything at all because they're so worried about how they're going to be perceived, if they're going to be judged. You have to let that go and release that mindset so you can start showing up in your content, in your business, because failure is inevitable. It's a piece of entrepreneurship that comes along with it and it's going to make you stronger. Think about the very first time you did a hairstyle that you had no idea about, or you did a makeup look that you had no idea about, and now you've done it 20 plus, 30 plus, 100 plus times. You feel so much more confident in it. A five-figure mindset is if something isn't working out as fast as you want, you give up instead of pivoting and trying something new. Or you hit a roadblock and instead of pushing past that roadblock, sorry, somebody just walked by and it was awkward because they were staring at me, so we're gonna try that again. Just wanna shout out that was a little failure, but I'm gonna keep it in this video because messy action is better than no action. So the five-figure mindset is if something isn't working out and something isn't happening as fast as you want it, instead of sticking it out and seeing it through, you give up and try something new. And what this is actually called is shiny object syndrome. You hit a roadblock, something comes along, something feels hard in your bridal business, or you hit a learning curve and you're like, I don't know how to do this, help me. And you stop everything and you're like, okay, I'm not meant to be here, I'm not meant to do this, and you start something new. You start a new venture, you start a new service, you do something outside of bridal because you're like, I'm over bridal, I'm bored with it right now. For me, when I was in my corporate job and I was starting my bridal business, I would obsessively check my emails for my bridal inquiries to see what wasn't coming through, but also what was coming through. Because when I quit my corporate job, I had no backup plan. So I was like literally obsessively checking my emails, and if I wasn't getting any inquiries, I'd say to myself, this isn't working, I gotta try something else, I gotta pay my bills, what do I do here? So I'd reach out to editorial photographers and I'd be like, hey, are you guys doing a shoot? And I would literally fill out my entire month with editorial shoots that had nothing to do with bridal. So it wasn't like I was practicing my skill or doing anything related with bridal. It was literally just like a full left turn in the opposite direction of bridal. So then what happened was it stole all of my time, all of my resources, and I was distracting myself with something else versus working on the true piece of my business, which is figuring out why am I not getting any bridal inquiries? What am I doing in my marketing? Do I even have a marketing plan? And the answer was no. And I would rather distract myself by starting a new service, by going on a new venture, versus actually sticking it out when it got hard and figuring out the real problem, which is like, hey, you need to get a marketing plan in place. That's why you're not getting bridal inquiries. My 5-figure mindset was telling me this is uncomfortable. I don't know what to do here. I don't know where to go. And versus being a problem solver, which is the 6-figure mindset, I'd say this is uncomfortable. I'm going to start something else. And what I learned is just because something gets a little bit hard, just because it gets a little bit uncomfortable, doesn't mean you should start something else. You need to stick it out to see it through. Because the reality is that business is hard. Entrepreneurship is hard. It is not for the weak. Yet the internet sells us this dream that it can be passive and that it's beautiful, and it is. There are those aspects to it, but there are a lot of days, especially when you're scaling, when you're doing new things, when you're putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, going outside of your comfort zone, where you need to dig down deep, get strong, root yourself in that discipline so you can get rid of that 5-figure mindset of starting something new, and you can go into this 6-figure mindset, which is being a problem solver. You weigh the pros, you weigh the cons. You get the data to actually provide a solution. You don't just give up. A 6-figure earner values the data, values the facts over feelings. And a 6-figure earner, when they have a hard day, when they hit a rock in the middle of the road and they feel stuck, they feel uncomfortable, and they sit in it and they stick to the plan. Because here's what growth actually feels like. Because when you are going from a 5-figure to a 6-figure mindset, 5-figure business to a 6-figure business, a lot of things are going to come up specifically in your nervous system. And I don't think enough people talk about this, because when you start feeling those things, you might start telling yourself like, oh my God, no, this is a sign. I need to back away. This isn't meant for me. When in reality, our brains are millions of years old, and its number one job is to protect us from threats. So when we are doing something that's uncomfortable, that's outside of our comfort zone, our brain sees it as a threat, and we need to tell it, hey, I hear you, you're getting so loud, but guess what? I'm gonna push past it and I'm gonna do it anyway. Your brain tries to keep you safe. You have to have the guts to see past it anyway. The 5-figure mindset of focusing on just the hacks versus focusing on the daily activities that make profit in your business, which are slow. So if you're somebody who focuses on Instagram hacks, like trying to grow your Instagram 10,000 followers in 10 days, or you're obsessively making sure that your caption, everything is optimized, you have every box checked, you're obsessively on your reels and you're scrolling for new ways to get your posts visible, versus actually just creating content and having your messaging, your ideal bride, your marketing in place, and knowing that the right people are going to find you at the right time, and not focusing on the vanity metrics, but instead you're focusing on it being searchable. You're focusing on making sure that you're talking about your services. Or if you're constantly scrolling on your posts and refreshing, how many views did I get? How many story views did I get? That's staying in a 5-figure mindset of focusing on the hacks to try to get that quick win. I was trying to control the outcome because it was a reflection of me. You're afraid to be seen as somebody who flops. I know I was, but here's the thing, and here's what I learned, is even when I do have posts that go viral and I do get those views, the vanity metrics that I was seeking, you have to keep up with that. Even when you have it, you're still gonna be afraid of flopping. And that sneaky little voice in my brain of, you're gonna flop, loser, doesn't go away. It just gets louder the more followers I get, the more views that I get. However, I know now how to quiet her down by saying things like, don't talk to my friend like that. The 6-figure mindset is focusing on your messaging that your people need to hear and getting it out there, versus just focusing on the hacks and trying to get that quick win. Remember, we can't avoid being a beginner. We can't avoid being a failure. We can't avoid having flops. We all have them. I'll never forget when I finally started embodying this with my own Instagram and I started really taking it seriously. I changed my mindset, specifically when I was showing up on my Instagram stories, that it needed to be perfectly curated and perfectly optimized and perfectly perfect. And instead, before I would post an Instagram story that was in the moment, I would ask myself, what does my bride need to hear today? What does my bride need help with today? And I would show up in that mindset, in that perspective, and that stuff always outperformed everything that I did. because I was showing up from a place of service versus a place of just trying to hack the algorithm. If you're somebody who really wants to map out your 6-figure year, you're so ready to hit $100,000 inside your bridal business, make sure you sign up for Bridal Boss Academy waitlist, which is now open for exclusive savings when enrollment opens in November. I can't wait to see you inside. We're gonna demolish your 5-figure mindset so you can start showing up as the 6-figure CEO, badass bridal boss that you are. Waitlist is linked down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.